Morning from Matt Burt at the Algarve International Circuit. We're just a few miles from the city of Portimao, ready to bring you the Portuguese Grand Prix. Just a few more moments and the images will take us to the starting straight for the MotoGP class race. Once more, and we will see the race. It's lights out and we are racing here in Doha, just like he did last night. Martin absolutely smashes the start from pole position. He's going to get the whole shot into turn one. Pakai trying to go around the outside, the long way round to the first corner on Brad Binder, who's up in a second place, just as he was in the sprint here last night. Pakai now trying to fight through on Binder into turn two for P2, and he's going to make it through the World Champ. Surely they touched on the exit there. Pakai comes out the pedal up in a second.
And straight onto the back of Jorge Martin as the World Champion goes straight into the lead. Both KTM's rockets again off the line. Binder's third, Miller is up into the top six.
Pakai means business on the first lap of 2024. Brilliant, super aggressive by the World Champ. He backs that factory Ducati into turn six. This is aggressive. I've seen Pakai on the opening lap of the Grand Prix for quite some time. He knew he could not let Martin get away or get into his rhythm at the front. He's so good at leading and managing the pace, isn't he, ahead of the Grand Prix? But Pakai has executed his plan A to perfection.
That was
brilliant
a statement,
start,
wasn't it, from the reigning world champion? We're worried about Aleix Espargaro. Where would he be on the first lap? He's down in 8th place now because that's Alex Marquez going through him. So it's all going wrong on the first lap for Aprilia. Aleix Espargaro is now 8th. Maverick Vinales 13th, and we all know what Trackhouse has been up to so far.
Marc Marquez has wasted little time in picking off Enea Bastianini. So Marquez on a 93, but strange to see the 93 on anything other than a Repsol Honda, isn't it, in MotoGP? 11 years in the Premier Class, all on the factory Honda. There he is in 4th place, having already got through on the Beast.
That's to Gian Antonio taking Jack Miller, who's once again made a good start and starting to go backwards. Alex Marquez through on the Australian, who's now back to 7th place. That will be 8th because they're all ahead of Aleix Espargaro, who's now 9th, with Pedro Acosta right behind him.
Sensational first lap then for the world champion Pecco Bagnaia. He comes over the line leading lap 1 of 21 here in Qatar. Binder's going for it on the inside of Jorge Martin. He's got the slipstream. He's so confident in the front end, the turning and braking of this year's RC16. Somebody's down. It's Miller. Jack Miller's bailed out in turn 1. He went backwards, unfortunately, with an anti-wheelie problem on the electronics last night in the sprint, and he's going to be furious about that. Miller then rejoins the race right at the back of the pack, but Binder on the charge yet again.
Acosta straight up the inside of the Beast, and he's into the top 6.
Oh, love it. Absolutely brilliant. This is unbelievable by the Moto3 and Moto2 world champion. He's 19 years of age, ladies and gentlemen. First Grand Prix MotoGP. He's sailing his way through the best in the world here.
He's the only rider in the 152s at the moment, is Pedro Acosta. The pace is about a second a lap slower than we saw last night. Bagnaia is doing 53.1s at the front of the field, at 52.9 from Pedro Acosta.
Absolutely incredible. We're already running out of superlatives, aren't we, to describe this young man. He's got until the Saxon ring to be the youngest rider to win in Premier Class history. We thought that was going to be a big ask. It might happen in the next sort of 20 minutes or so, because Pedro Acosta has just been absolutely incredible.
Martin now back through into second place up the inside of Binder.
That was the textbook move, wasn't it, by Martin going through turn 10. Beautifully done. Loving the work there of Martin. That was the classic move. Further back then, there's Acosta. He's going to be surely through on Alex Marquez sooner rather than later. Well, the first rider that Pedro Acosta actually passed in his MotoGP career had to be, didn't it? 8-time world champion Marc Marquez right at the start of that hectic sprint here last night. This is going to be mouth-watering, isn't it? Very soon. If Acosta can make it through on Alex Marquez, it's the old master, isn't it? The 8 times world champion. Here he goes, wasting precious little time on the inside of Alex Marquez. He's now in a Marquez sibling sandwich, isn't he, Pedro Acosta? These are the kind of battles we were hoping would rage in 2024. Marquez, the older generation, the the senior statesman against the new young blood of Pedro Acosta, who is on the charge, smelling blood here, the shark.
What's all the fuss about? I thought MotoGP was supposed to be difficult, he says, as he comes through. And Alex Marquez, this is a battle that many have waited years and generations to see. Marc Marquez, the 8 times world champion, and many say the next Marc Marquez, right up behind him, Pedro Acosta in 5th. Binder still isn't done with Jorge Martin, as once again he's all over the back of the sprint winner as we come onto the start-finish straight to start lap 6.
That KTM's got some proper poke this year, hasn't it? Side by side they go in the braking zone. Martin toughs it out, decelerating from nearly 365 kilometres an hour down to the second gear, 100 kilometres an hour, second gear, first corner. Looking a little bit further back, there's Pakai in the top left-hand corner of your screens. He still leads this Grand Prix after that super aggression at the start. Now, here we go. This is going to be tasty. This is going to be spicy, isn't it? It's the rookie sensation Acosta versus Marc Marquez. I didn't think we'd be getting this kind of battle so early in the season. So Alex Marquez is just struggling at the moment to get away with that lead group of 5. He's got a bit of breathing space himself back to the beast. Bastianini in 7th.
So onto the front straight they come then. We're on board with Marc Marquez. Binder once again close up behind Martin Bagnaia with a personal best 52.7s, pulled out a half-second lead now, and Binder might have seen that as he goes up the inside of Jorge Martin, and he makes it very clear to Martin that he's coming through, but he outbrakes himself slightly into turn number 1. He'll have the inside line now for turn number 2, and Binder now should have the move done on Jorge Martin. The South African retakes 2nd place.
Yeah, this playing into hands a little bit though of Bagnaia, isn't it, while they tough it out together on the brakes in the first corner, then the sweep through turn 2, second gear, second corner. Binder's come out the better of it very early, of course, in terms of the championship, but Pecco Bagnaia will get himself into a very familiar position heading to Portimao in a couple of weeks' time. He's very used to being in P1 in this championship, isn't he? Bagnaia that's got his head down. Brilliant this is brilliant by the world champion, you have to say. Full respect, kudos to Bagnaia. 152.667. Oh, Martin, they go in. Oh, they're in really hot. Pedro Acosta really got dragged in there. Martin found his way through on Binder, and then with the extra kilometres with the slipstream, sucking into that first corner probably 7, 8, 9 kilometres an hour faster. Marquez and Acosta missed their braking markers. They did well to stay on the tarmac there, but this is playing into the hands, isn't it, of Bagnaia. That's why Martin was so eager to get through on Binder, because he doesn't want to let the world champ get away, because he knows how good Bagnaia is in these kind of situations. So Martin knew he had to get back into that second place. Martin, Binder, Marquez and Acosta just out of your shot. Briefly there was Bagnaia. You can now see from the helicopter as he sweeps out of picture, and his lead now, well, it's held station. In fact, fair play to Martin, 52.8 was a little bit quicker than Bagnaia. The game, Binder, they tough it out on the brakes into the first corner. They both from wide. This is just playing right into the hands of Bagnaia. He doesn't realise it, but this battle that's ensuing between Binder and Martin, that's 3 or 4 times now they passed each other in that first corner. It's just giving Bagnaia that breather, isn't it?
So another 0.3 of a second into Bagnaia's back pocket as they both went out wide. Lead now out to 1.2 seconds. Binder regains 2nd place then, and there'll be frustration under that crash element of Jorge Martin, having thought he'd finally got the better of Binder and he can get his head down and get off after Bagnaia. He loses that 2nd place once again. Acosta still doing a fine job staying with this trio up ahead of him that are trying to give chase to Pecco Bagnaia out front. Personal best further back for Aleix Espargaro, who was faster than the leader last time round, but he's still stuck in 9th place. 11 of 21 completed. Bagnaia's lead is just under 1.1 seconds. Both of the leading 2, Bagnaia and Binder, in the 52s, as Acosta does now make the move on Marc Marquez.
Here he comes. Shark attack unfolding. Pedro Acosta has picked off 8-time world champion Marc Marquez on the Gresini Ducati. Yeah, here comes Marquez seeking some fairly rapid revenge, isn't he? On the rookie upstart. He's gone wide. Yeah, I just think, Lewis, just seen a couple of scrappy corners of late where he might actually have, just with the lack of experience, started to burn up those tyres. We'll find out. Alex Marquez has had good racing pace, so having run wide, Marquez slots back into that 4th place.
Yeah, so here's the moment then. It was through turn 12. He was sideways again as he tried to get it slowed down for turn 12. That corner was never being made by Pedro Acosta. And Marc Marquez, that's the easiest fourth place he's ever inherited. But back at the front, nothing to choose between Bagnaia and Binder. The lead was coming down through that last lap, but Bagnaia with a good final sector has been able to peg it at 0.9 of a second. Martin then with a little bit of comfort now behind him in third, with Marc Marquez now immediately behind him. Acosta now has to make sure he stabilises this and doesn't lose further ground to Marquez and Bastianini. Pedro Acosta a little leery there into turn number 12. Has he potentially peaked in this Grand Prix? Because he's losing ground hand over fist to Marc Marquez up ahead of him. The gap between the pair of them was 4:10 at the start of the lap. It has doubled to this point. You can see now Alex Marquez and Enea Bastianini swarming all over the rookie.
You always felt like in the early part of this season it was going to be the lack of experience which would be Acosta's biggest enemy, and it looks like that's how it's panning out here. Did he lose the front there going through the final corner? And you know what I think he did? Because Alex Marquez has picked him off. I think actually he was a little bit wide, maybe out on a dirty part of the circuit. I think he took the front big time, because Enea Bastianini is also going to maybe ease alongside him in the braking zone. I'd love to see a replay of that. There's smoke pouring off Acosta's right boot as well. I think he actually might have, he certainly ran wide because Marquez and the Beast picked him up. I think he did push the front and nearly was down in that final corner.
Yeah, this was the overtake that put Binder into second place. Typically sideways from Brad Binder, and Jorge Martin never really saw the South African again. He's 9/10 of a second behind him. It's a 4/10 gap back to Marc Marquez in fourth. We're just keeping an eye on the timing screens while you're watching this replay of the battle for second place, because Fabio Di Giannantonio is still all over the back of Pedro Acosta. Ralph Hernandez is no longer running. That's the spare Trackhouse Aprilia that he's on, and that one's now joining its other one in the Aprilia garage.
I think it's fair to say that's what you call a baptism of fire for Trackhouse Racing. Not the welcome to MotoGP that they were looking for. Stalling it on the grid, having to start from the back of the grid ultimately after an aborted start for Ralph Hernandez. He was right at the back of the field. He's come into the pits, and unfortunately at the moment, after his long lap penalty, after his infringement here in the sprint last November, Miguel Oliveira outside of the points, currently in 17th place. So a nil point start potentially for Trackhouse Racing. Acosta doing his utmost here to fend off Di Giannantonio and Aleix Espargaro. It's all too little too late, isn't it, for the Aprilia man, though, who in so many people's eyes was the favourite for the first 25 points of the season here tonight. Just has not materialised. Binder back in the 52s, credit to the South African. That gap has come down by a couple of tenths to Bagnaia. Will just follow Acosta and Giannantonio over the line. Sami been keeping very close tabs on Marc Marquez, just a quarter of a second now behind Jorge Martin.
Yeah, he was keeping his bike 4/10 roughly behind, which is the clean air, keeping his tyres cool, and now that gap's closing. I think he's doing his very best to attack Jorge.
Yeah, he's going to go all in here. That's the Marquez mantra, isn't it? What can Jorge Martin do? This will be a bit of a humbling experience, if having taken pole position last night and then a brilliant sprint win, if Jorge Martin finds himself barred off the podium late on here.
Yeah, 2.5 laps for him to hang on. You feel Bagnaia is just about keeping Binder at arm's length here. That response on the last lap where Binder took a 10.5 back, Bagnaia so far has been able to win part of that time back again. He's just edging that lead once again over 1 second. Binder just throws a punch in the direction of the world champion, and a counter punch comes back Binder's way. Bagnaia looks to have this under control.
Yeah, Di Giannantonio, this was coming. That had more than an air of inevitability about it, didn't it? As Di Giannantonio picks his way through on Pedro Acosta, who continues to provide a smoke bomb off the back of that Michelin rear tyre as he goes through turn 10. Surely Aleix Espargaro will fancy having a little dab at Pedro late on here as well. This is the battle for the podium. Is it going to be a podium start to his first race for Gresini Ducati for Marc Marquez? The clock is ticking down, he's running out of time here. 2 laps to go. Let's check the gap between Bagnaia and Binder. It's crept back up once again to 1.1 seconds. Bagnaia again back in the 52s. This has been brilliant. Proper class ride by the world champion.
Yeah, as his teammate now attacks Alex Marquez, so the best Bastianini will be able to salvage in these final 2 laps is 5th place. Bastianini last time around did a 53.3. Alex Marquez is losing pace and he's now losing 5th place as Enea Bastianini moves through. That will be, I guess, a save of some sort for Bastianini, but he finds himself at the moment 5 seconds behind his race-leading teammate.
Yeah, Bastianini there got through finally on Alex Marquez, so up into the top 5, a double top 6, not a bad way to start off his second season in the factory Ducati team. Simon?
Guys, it might look boring staying static, you know, roughly between Jorge Martin and Marquez, but for me it's exciting because they are both throwing everything at it. There's no saving tyres here. They are really going to it.
Yeah, thanks very much, Simon. They both desperately want that podium. It looks like Bagnaya's got it covered here in Qatar. This has been a superb ride. You have to give him so much credit. 5th place on the grid, superb start. Very, very aggressive on Martin to get through. And it's been the consistency. It's been a trademark Bagnaia performance, hasn't it? Quite brilliant.
Well, I have to say, Martin's won this battle with Marc Marquez, I think. He might still take 2nd place yet. So far on this lap, if Brad Binder's settling for 2nd, he needs to step back on it again. At the start of this lap, Binder was a 2nd clear of Jorge Martin. Through the 3rd sector, you're not looking at it at the moment. Binder's advantage to Martin in 3rd is down to just 0.4 of a second now. You'll see it behind Bagnaia. Look in the back of the picture. Binder hasn't got 2nd sewn up yet.
Is it going to be a case of close but no cigar then for Marc Marquez? The reason why Marquez has been dropped instantly by Martin is Martin, super impressive, a 152.742, his fastest lap of the Grand Prix so far on lap 20 of 21. He's still got that rear tyre underneath him here, hasn't he, Martin? And he's going to have surely a crack at Binder late on here.
Will there be any regret from Martin? Perhaps he saved a little too much for too late in the race to pull out a 52.7 at this stage, by a mile the fastest rider on track on that last lap. He's just left Marquez for dust, who did a 53.4. Brad Binder, perhaps having been alerted to this by his team, is going to have to step back on it. He's got around about 12 corners to try and hold Jorge Martin off, but Binder looks like he's using everything he's got left.
As he so often did in 2023, Binder's been the only rider really that can take the fight to the Ducatis. He chased the Ducati for the whole of the sprint last night. He's chased the Ducati for the whole of the Grand Prix here tonight as well, and just come up short. Aleix Espargo did take 8th place from Acosta on that lap 20, so it does look like Acosta will still claim a superb top 10 finish on his debut. Martin just running out of time here, potentially one more lap, and he might have had something here for Binder, but Binder has responded.
Yeah.
Binder has retaliated. It looks like he will hold on for that 2nd place.
Yeah, Brad got the message there and he stepped back on it to make sure that he retains that 2nd place. He'd obviously recognised that he wasn't going to catch Bagnaia and perhaps slacked off a little bit on the previous lap, and as soon as he realised that he was letting Martin have a sniff a 2nd, Binder's responded, but Bagnaia has certainly showed the world why that number 1 belongs on his Ducati tonight.
There's been some amazing racing behind him. It's been an amazing start to the season for Pecco Bagnaia. The message loud and clear in Qatar: catch me if you can. As world champion, Pecco Bagnaia takes the 1st win of this 75th anniversary season in the MotoGP World Championship. Cue the fireworks. We've got plenty of fireworks from Marc Marquez and from Pedro Acosta, who comes over the line. A memorable MotoGP debut for the Moto2 World Champion. He takes the checkered flag in 9th place. Bagnaia, though, wins it by 1.3 seconds. Double 2nd place here in Qatar for Brad Binder. Great start to the new season for the KTM star. Jorge Martin does hold off Marc Marquez late on for the final place on the podium. A real positive, hugely encouraging Ducati debut for Marquez. 5th in the sprint, 4th in the Grand Prix. He really did get close to that podium.
Setting the standard with his first race win of the season was Pecco Bagnaia, while Brad Binder showed that KTM are in it to win it this season with a 2nd place finish, and Jorge Martin finished 3rd with an impressive display.
And the group CEO of our event sponsors, Qatar Airways, presents the trophy to a man who's got an ever-expanding trophy collection. The number 1 showed exactly why he's the defending world champion as Bagnaia wins the season opener in Qatar.
we work in the silence. We were knowing our potential. We tried to do the maximum yesterday, knowing that something was important to be changed for today's race, and what we did this morning in the warm-up was important, and the race was absolutely completely different compared yesterday. I tried to manage in a different way, and it works, so I'm very happy. And now we move on to Portimao with another step in front did with the new bike.
Yeah, I'm super stoked with the result today. We knew going in it was going to be tough to make the tyres get to the end. I'm surprised we managed it so well, to be honest, and I tried to get so close to Pakai, but he did an unreal job. Didn't make one mistake the entire race, and hats off to him. Thank you to my team. They did an incredible job. My bike was next level today compared to yesterday again. And if we can keep this going, we're going to get it right eventually.
Today was a difficult race. I started quite well, but then straight away I was trying to manage a bit the tire, and Pecco was pushing a bit more at that point. Then, the pace was really fast compared to last season. I was trying to control the rear grip, try to manage for the end. And then when I see Mark was coming, I was one-to-one battle with the pace. I tried to push a lot. He was pushing so much, but I was able to push to go to make that gap and almost try a move on Brad, but finally, P3 and yesterday win, I think, with a lot of points for the weekend, so I'm pleased and really looking forward to the next one.
After round 1 in MotoGP, it's Bagnaia who leads in the Riders' Championship with 31 points, narrowly ahead of Brad Binder and Jorge Martin. Meanwhile, Marc Marquez is knocking at the door in 4th, with 18 points to his name.
Download and watch it live on Sport TV Now app.